All right, joining us now, a guy that understands everything about the tailgate, about the band experience, about the football game. He is the executive director of the Celebration Bowl. Oh, yeah, he saved his appearance. He saved the best for last. John Grant joining us on the HBCU Gameday set.
Yes, sir.
Thank
John,
you guys for
what's
having
up,
me.
my
I
man?
appreciate it, man.
Appreciate
Thank you for having me here today. This is exciting, man. I love what you guys are doing here. This is incredible for those out there watching. These guys have a really professional studio here. And so thank you for having me here.
Absolutely, not a problem. All right, John, it's in the books. We had a close one. I was there, and I was like, uh-oh, Howard's got it. Uh-oh, here comes FAMU. Uh-oh, Howard came back. Okay, FAMU sealed the deal. I mean, that's all you can ask for, a game that, you know, until the final minutes, it's up for grabs.
Well, that's what championship football is. And certainly these two teams delivered that on Saturday. I was like you. In the first quarter, I thought, my gosh, Howard's going to run away with this. And then, of course, Florida A&M does what Florida A&M do. They fought their way back into it, and Howard fought their way back into the lead. So, you know, fans were on their edge of their seats throughout the game. And, you know, we're excited about the show that these student athletes put on. It was a great game.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, again, this situation, FAMU, you know, we know they were predicted to be here. It seems like you guys, so from the moment you guys announced this bowl game, you know, over 8 years ago now, people have been waiting for certain teams to get there. FAMU, they took their time getting there, but, you know, I was there when you were able to give them their invitation to Tallahassee. Just talk about them bringing their brand here for the first time and what that has brought to the Celebration Bowl and brought to this weekend.
Well, I think what it brought was it certainly energized the Florida A&M fan base. They have not been in Atlanta since 2014, and you know, just having you know, their team make it back really energized them. And then on the other side with Howard University, of course, they were here in the 2021 Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff game, but the energy around, you know, being in the championship game is always different. The intensity is always higher, and so you could feel it actually in the venue, and you know, that's what championship football is.
John, this was the first year, so I actually just bought a ticket, and I did some pregame stuff. I actually had a chance to interview the NCAA president, Charlie Baker. That was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But then I went and sat with my family, and I let the kids here at Game Day do all the work, and I enjoyed the game. It was my first year in the stands, and John, the thing I really loved the most, man, was you saw the paraphernalia of people who did not have a dog in the fight. I saw a lot of my alums, Winston-Salem State gear, A&T gear, Hampton gear. People were just representing, and it was an HBCU collective in the stands. And John, I'm so greedy. I was like, I wish every week, every game could have that vibe, man. It was just really something special.
Well, you know, you made a point there when you said they didn't have a dog in the fight, and every HBCU around this game has a dog in the fight. I mean, this is our Super Bowl. So regardless of who's playing, they are representing every HBCU institution on the biggest stage of all. So when fans show up wearing their paraphernalia and the camera pans the crowd and they're seeing a Winston-Salem State, they're seeing a Jackson State, they're seeing Fayetteville State, because there were some of those people there. Those universities are also getting the benefit of brand value and recognition by virtue of the fact that the fans are representing their institutions. And we want to make sure we do that. We have that conversation with the producer. Please make sure you're scanning the crowd. And so we encourage people to come, because you then have an opportunity to rep your university on a national stage, whether you're on the field or not.
All right, attendance. Let's talk about the people. We always look at that number. Now, we did a little research. I need you to confirm the top. So Mercedes-Benz Stadium has 3 tiers, 3 bowls, however you want to say it. The very top one is never open for the Celebration Bowl. It's always tier 1, tier 2. So that will fill, according to our research, like 43.5.
Well, we opened it last year and we had 49,000 because we sold standing room only.
Okay.
So you can get up to with all seats. You can get up to about 47.
Okay. All right. So you had 41,000 this year. So that's close
Yes.
to a sellout.
Third all time.
Third all time in Celebration Bowl history. How did you feel about the attendance this year?
Fantastic. I mean, anytime, because that number will still put us in the top tier of bowl games. So, we realized that we would probably have some down effect a little bit because you're going to have the Dion effect. You see that goes anywhere, but
He said his name.
to have it, well, I need to look. It's fact, and so, but with that number, it still puts us, the top 2 years were in 21 and 22. So with this being the third most attended game, I'm highly comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think somebody has been to all of them. I think this really spoke a lot because you think about it. That first game you guys had, I think 35,000 in the old Georgia Dome, and it was kind of a new experience. And obviously you educating everyone about how for you guys the priority was the TV ratings, but you guys have worked to build up that audience. And then coming out of that pandemic, you really didn't know what was going to happen with everybody, and nobody knew what was going to happen in Jackson and everything around that. And then obviously the MEAC having their changes and everything like that. And to come back this year and still top what you guys were pre-pandemic, I think is still pretty amazing.
Well, I think it demonstrates again as we continue to work on this, and all of us, and you guys are a big part of it, and every other black media outlet that covers this game and covers what we're doing and spreads this, tell the stories about what we're doing. We can't say enough about that, because the more we do that, then the more we invite people in to be a part of the experience. And we have 3 commitments to this effort. One is that we want to build a world-class, second-to-none experience for the student athletes, that no matter where they play, that they won't get anything better. Number 2, the same thing, second-to-none experience for the fans who decide to spend their money and come, that they can come to this game and realize that no matter where they go, I don't care if it's even the Super Bowl, that they're going to have the same level of experience that they have here. And the third one is that same experience for the fans who watch, that our presentation is great. We've been fortunate we have great competition on the field, but that when they watch this, they see the energy of the people that are there, and how we present it makes them want to, stay engaged.
John, I don't know why, but I took the bait this morning arguing with people on Facebook that someone tried to argue with me, John, that going to the FCS playoffs, you could parlay that into a greater payout than these teams that make it to the Celebration Bowl. And that's probably the biggest smoke that we get in people are arguing about it in the comments right now. John, would you put this to rest for us, please, with data and facts? You cannot beat what you get out of. Now, I think it's great when the second place team goes to the playoffs, and then we got dogs in 2 different races. But come on, man, the Celebration Bowl versus the playoffs.
Well, I think the best people to articulate the benefit are those whom have been. And when I say though, I'm talking about the teams. And the first one to us was Rod Broadway after in 2016 when they went to the playoffs. He publicly said that was a consolation prize, and he has coached at all the highest levels. That was a consolation prize. If you ask Trey Oliver, who just went, he will tell you that it was a consolation prize. Ask Willie Simmons. He just came to his first Celebration Bowl, and if you ask him today versus their playoff run in 2021, he said it himself, he'd pick the Celebration Bowl every single time. So let's talk about it first from that level, because these are the people that are in it, not those of us who are sitting on the sidelines or who are armchair quarterbacks and who don't really know the business of college football, but we have an opinion, and that's great. We want that. But the second part of it is economics. People, you're in this game and in this business, the business of sport, to get paid. That's the reality. And the days of, hey, here's exposure And we've been in that place for a long time, whether it's with our schools or with our bands. We've been sold on the old exposure that doesn't come with a check. And I've never seen a bill paid and where the signature said exposure. I've never seen one. And if someone can show me that, I'd appreciate it. There's nothing wrong with the playoffs, but we're not built for the playoffs. We're not built to play 7 games. And look at the facts. The last time that the MEAC won a playoff game was 40 years ago almost. So we have an opportunity for our HBCUs to win a much bigger stage because, that's a fact, we get about 2.3, 2.4 million views. The playoff games, they're moved to ABC and they get about 1.6. So
that's if you make it.
That's if you make it to the championship. And so the championship gets about 1.6. Their attendance is around 17,000, 18,000. And the payout is not even anywhere near close. So we have to, our fans really need to stop drinking that spiked Kool-Aid because that's exactly what it is, and it's been spiked for many, many years. But now we've been able to demonstrate something different.
Let me tell you, if you came to me and said, Tolly, will you edit this video for me? It's going to give you great exposure. Boy, bye.
Correct.
This is the rate. This is what you.
And that's the point that we are looking to make there. That's the thing that we're looking to do, with launching the band of the year, is to change the conversation. It's time for our bands to get paid. It's time for them because they're providing quality and value entertainment that's making money for other people, but not for themselves. So when our bands, no matter who they are, and I'll say this, whether you're going to the Macy's Day Parade, which is great that you can be there, and you're only on television for about a minute.
Yep.
But how much money does you have to raise to go there? And how much money do you come back with in your bank account? And so the people that are benefiting is the Macy's Day Parade. They love having you there because it's great for them and it helps bring viewership to them. But what does it really do for you as it relates to economics? And that's the conversation that we have to begin to have across the board.
So tell me this. So break it down for us. Like, what all gets so when teams come to the championship, the Celebration Bowl, like, what all gets taken care of them, and everything that comes along with the cost of travel and get here and all that they don't even have to worry about, as opposed to a playoff scenario where, look, you got to pay.
Correct. Well, for the playoffs, the NCAA pays a per diem. That's your per diem for that travel, for that day, and for that trip, or whatever the amount of days is. Here with the Cricket Celebration Bowl, our deals are with the conference. So bowls have their contracts with the conferences. So each conference here gets $1.2 million. Now the conference members, they set a formula internal to each conference, which is different. But that formula determines what the representing school will get, the ones that's in the bowl game, and then everyone else gets something. So even if you didn't make it to the bowl, you get something by being a conference member as a part of that distribution.
Kind of like the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. And each conference model is different. So from that, out of that number, the teams cover their expense, their travel, their meals, but this is a significant number. It's pretty big up there. We, in turn, cover the expenses of the marching band. So when the bands are here, we give them a stipend that covers their transportation, their hotel, and meal. So that's not a cost that's borne by the school itself in this regard. So that's how our formula works. And if you go into the playoffs, you don't get a per diem for the band. You're only getting it for the team. And any administration that comes, that's a cost to the university. So it actually costs you money to go to the playoffs. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the playoffs has a wonderful space. It's an interesting opportunity. It's just that the economics, we have to understand what they are and what the value is of having this bowl game to the institutions.
All right, Band of the Year. Steve, you were there. You saw the competition. First year was you got John right here.
Yeah, I mean, we worked closely with you guys, kind of getting the ratings out there and everything like that. And I remember when it was announced, Simone asked you about Division II bands, putting them in there. I think you talked about just kind of making sure that everybody knows this is their event. I think that was a great job that you guys did. What was the reception? What is the reception that you're getting back from it, and how will we see it evolve in year 2?
That's a very good question. Let me answer first by I want to thank you guys here at HBCU Gameday. You were on the tip of the spear of something historic, and to be able to be in that position is something that we know, without question, is going to bring tremendous value. And we've already been talking about this. Tolly and I the other day with some connection, but that's going to bring value back to this business because we owe that to you. And it's our commitment to make sure we're leaning into that. When I told you, I think we were at CIAA or something, and I said, hey, we got this coming. I really want to see you have you guys involved. And the answer for us was yes. And now you got to recognize that was yes over an internal publication that we have that's called Anscape that launched these rankings initially. But I think that now, sometimes, and I'm going to say this, but however it goes, it takes people an opportunity, a time to see something. People don't really know what they want until they see it. So this year was outstanding. What was interesting to me was throughout the season and talking to band directors and listening to band directors and just having occasional conversations with the committee members because I stayed out of that completely. I'm not an expert in bands, but I just kind of wanted to make sure that they had everything that they needed to really do the job that they needed to do. And they did. But in listening to some of how the band directors really, all of them were like, I want to get to Atlanta. When you guys have been at enough media days for football, and every coach in the MEAC and SWAC are saying, I want to get to Atlanta. So now you had both Division I and Division II band directors saying the same thing, a heightened level of wanting to get to Atlanta. And so that, I think, was changing the mindset was great. Putting economics behind it. So the economics were
y'all were handing out checks. That's more checks than tubas.
Well, at the end of the day, again, it's going to come down to you don't pay a bill signed with exposure, and if you can get both, and we can help facilitate both, then you're getting the best of both worlds, and that's what this event is about. And finally, on that point, guys, this event is going to be as big as the Celebration Bowl, if not bigger. And you're hearing it here first. This was just year one. It was year one for everyone, including us. This has never been done before. Right. And so we had some learnings coming out of this that you're going to see some slight modifications for next year. Look, the judges themselves, they started evaluating at 10 o'clock. They went until 1:30 in the morning, going back and forth and doing their analysis. I wasn't in the room. I came in toward the end, but I can tell you it was close. And with the analysis that they did, it came out, it was very, very close.
Did you know all along that the announcement wouldn't come to the following day, or was it like, did you see in the moment like, okay, we're not going to be able to announce a winner right away?
Yeah, we knew. We had stated all along that we would announce the winner on Saturday after the halftime show, because we realized that if you're going to do this and you're going to do it right, and as Professor Taylor, who's one of the co-chairs, says, we have to have an audit-proof process. And that audit-proof process meaning you had to give the judges time to sit down and deliberate and analyze, what they had seen and rate it appropriately. So if we're going to do it and you're going to have a champion, then you want to make it thorough. And we had no intentions of cutting corners, Tolly, around that to get to a champion. That's number one. But number two, we didn't want to announce a champion ahead of halftime, because then it takes the air out of out of the sales for the bands that are performing at the Celebration Bowl. And we felt the appropriate time was to do it then.
I think anytime you catch smoke on something means that you have something of value, because people don't complain about things unless they care about it. So I thought it was great when FAMU came out at halftime of the Celebration Bowl and was like, that's our trophy. And they weren't even in the running. So, FAMU gave you content within their halftime performance with the Marching 100. Some people, run away from the smoke, but I always say, exposure is exposure. And there was smoke everywhere with the band of the year this year.
And there's still smoke out there if you go to
the smoke has not cleared. You got people going back to the initial press releases saying, hey, there, you said this, but now it's this, you know what I mean? So it's and those Aggies, you went to North Carolina A&T, right?
And that's why I stayed completely away from all of this, and to make sure I had nothing to do with it.
So they're never far from the smoke, and so they were the lightning rod, I felt, of this competition from the moment you guys announced the competition back in July until the next winter's there. There's that debate about them not being in the conference, but obviously they're a HBCU band and a really good one, and I love to give A&T all the smoke, but I mean you can't give them smoke for that. So, that just talk about that, and also Florida Memorial. You guys are the winner again. I mean, I think that was a great story. They didn't have a band prior to the pandemic. It was in the planning stages, and now, I mean, and that's no disrespect to Virginia State. I think they did an amazing job, but I think everyone was really floored by Florida Memorial as much as anybody else that was in the competition.
You're absolutely correct. And, one of the things I learned from this and seeing it up close, that there are a lot of technical aspects to marching bands. And if you're an untrained person versus, our committee as a whole probably has close to 200 plus years of experience. The co-chairs alone, with Dr. White and Professor Taylor, I mean, their entire career span, they have close to 100 years. They know what they're doing, and they've demonstrated that. And so with what you were saying, Stephen, you're correct. I mean, the smoke hasn't cleared yet. The Band of the Year Twitter Instagram page has been on fire. But think about with the college football playoffs and Florida State not getting into the championship. I mean, the same thing happens there. But the committee has the work that they do. This one has the work that it does. And with this event, I want to say this, because with this event, one of the things that we try to do, our philosophy is that we don't necessarily look around to see what's being done and then try to do that better. We look around and say what is not being done and do that the best. So the Band of the Year wasn't being done. It's never existed. So we're going to put it out there, and as we did, and we're going to make it the best, because it's not happening. It's similar to what you guys are doing here. I love the fact that you saw an opportunity, you created a business around it, and that business is now one of the anchor entities in HBCU news. I have you on your app on my phone.
2 out of 2 today.
It's absolutely true that if I want anything on HBCU related, I'm going to HBCU Gameday.
Well, we appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that. What do you think the evolution is? So you don't have to give anything specific, but what are some areas when you look at the Celebration Bowl and you look at the Battle of the Bands or the Band of the Year that you say, okay, in these certain areas, we can still grow, we can still evolve?
Well, if I start with the Band of the Year, because this was our first year, and we certainly see some like modifications that we can make. One, I'll just say that was obvious to us is next year in terms of in stadium putting all the fans on one side, and then growing it from there. That's number one. Number two is how, as we continue to educate people about the Band of the Year, about the national championship, that we can create more opportunities through the season for engagement. For instance, our trophies will tour now. They're going to put them on the road to go to some of these bands' halftime shows that are in contention, where we can put the trophy on site. Those games are televised where people can actually engage and see it. Create more opportunities for fan engagement. And one of the things I'm going to reveal it here. Don't know when we'll implement it, but I believe that it's something that we can implement, and that's having a parade with the competing bands in a parade prior to the competition that night.
Oh.
So they'll be in a parade down Main Street here in Atlanta, and then that night they'll be queued up to be in actual championship mode. So we do see that being a part of it, creating our own tournament of roses parade, right, so to speak.
That would give. We've been talking about exposure. Well, I think that would give you some earned media, even more so here in the city.
Marketing,
having a parade for sure.
Absolutely, and it gives an opportunity for the bands to showcase themselves in a different way, and it adds to what we're framing as championship weekend. So you have, the Band of the Year national championship, the football national championship with the Cricket Celebration Bowl, and then creating a total experience for people through that entire weekend, but an experience that they don't get anywhere else. So I think I heard you guys talking before. The question was about, in the piece earlier, tailgating versus not. Well, for us, this game isn't that. When you want that, that's through the regular season at your favorite classic, etc.
When it's a little bit warmer, too.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit warmer. But when you come here, this is the Super Bowl. I don't think they do tailgating at the Super Bowl. It's all built into the complete experience for the fan. So that's what we want to deliver here. That kind of experience that doesn't mirror anything else, but to deliver something that hasn't been done.
When will we find out? Because you're with the MEAC SWAC Challenge as well. Or do we already know next year?
We already know.
We already know. Okay, I forget things. See, I leave the Colorado sign up. I forget all types of stuff. Who do we got coming up, MEAC SWAC Challenge?
Well, it's going to be a hot one. This is going to be a big one next year. We've got Florida A&M University, now national champions, will be opening up against Norfolk State. So they will have ended their season here, and they're going to begin the season back here, which will be the first game that they play following having won the national championship. So we know, knowing Rattler fans out there, that this is going to be a really big game for them, and it'll be a big one for Norfolk State because they have not been to Atlanta in many, many years.
We talk so much about the Celebration Bowl. Do you see any areas to continue to evolve the season opener with the MEAC SWAC Challenge?
Oh, absolutely. And that is, if we've been doing that over the years, because when we launched it here, the game was played on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend. It was early in the day. It was like a 2 o'clock kickoff, and it was hot. I mean, really hot. And so we were able to move it to an afternoon time and moved it off of ESPN2 to the main ESPN network, and it became a 7 o'clock kick, and we brought in College Game Day, First Take, Good Morning America, all that in 2021. And then certainly this past year, we moved it. It's still in 7 o'clock prime time, but we moved the game over to ABC, which was outstanding for us as well, because now it's in prime time on network television. So we're going to continue to do things in that regard to create that platform. And then the next piece is what we continue to build out for the fans and their experience with the fan experience and creating a total experience for them in that space, and that's coming too.
You talked about ratings, and we'll find out the ratings in a couple of days, but I know you talked previously, but just let everybody know about the audience for the Celebration Bowl, because I think a lot of people might be surprised about how wide or eclectic it is demographically.
Well, good. That's a very good point and good question to make up. So, when you look at for the Celebration Bowl, the 2.4 million viewers, 70% are non-black. You have a 30%, so it mirrors sort of the makeup of the country. So you have nearly 30% that are African American. Then you have like 1 to 2% that are Hispanic and that are non-black. But what we did this year with the Cricket Celebration Bowl, it was simulcast on 3. It was on ABC, We simulcast it on ESPN Plus, and we simulcast it on ESPN on our Hispanic network. So, which was the first year that we've ever done that. So that's an added value being in Spanish. So that helps us reach another totally different audience with this game.
All right, Miles, get our dance video ready. We're going to let John get out of here on this, and we're going to bring Nick Eden back here in a moment. And we still got to talk about Grambling State's new football hire. There's so much news on a Monday heading into Christmas week. Miles, when you have it ready, just go ahead and play it. There's so many social media and viral moments around the Celebration Bowl. Our audience got a kick out of this. This is the FAMU place kicker. Now, John, I want you to see him break it down here in a minute. He's just getting warmed up here. What's his name, Steve?
Marco.
Marco.
Yeah.
Marco's gonna break
with
it
the
down.
feet, with the foot game. Yeah, I egged him on a little bit. I gave him a little, hey, you gotta give him that. But
there's just so many moments.
You're not getting that at the FCS playoffs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. You're just not.
John, how would you rate the moves there, John? By the place kicker.
Look, excellent. We can see why he's such a good place kicker. But let me tell you that in our conversations, we had follow-up conversations with. He had family members who were tuned in from London. And he talked about the number of people that were watching this game from home, which again talks about the reach of this game around the world. It is a global experience that we're reaching out to, and that speaks volumes to the institutions, but also to the fact that Atlanta is hosting this national championship in your wonderful studios here, and certainly home of HBCU Gameday.
All right,
Marcos is his name. I'm sorry, Marcos.
Marcos. Okay.
Yes.
We got Mr. Marcos.
Look at that.
Appreciate that, Miles. He was getting down. And that was our footage. So I don't know if you got a chance to see those moves on ABC, but that's why you got to hang out with us here at HBCU.
You got him from SJG at the phone. There we go.
That's right. So we give you behind the scenes. We take you all around the stadium.